Okay. T's ready to go. That means we're ready to rock a Hydra. 578,000 health. Definitely much lower defensive statistics than Golem did. See you, Mist. Have a good night. 12,000, 16,000. Exploit weakness to Earth. We got physical single target Earth, physical single target Earth. No, not Earth, just physical. Nat AoE lightning. Oh god. Hydra looks like a lightning nut, huh? Single target. Black. That's the only single target black, so. Good to draw with Sentinel, but totally not good good enough to bring Celeste into the party just for that purpose. Thundara AoE, black. Maelstrom. Ugh, gravity damage, huh? 30%. That's not that bad. 30%'s tolerable. Mad Lightning, Nat AoE, 490% piercing, magical wound, Imperial Thunder. It looks like another job for Magic Blink. Yeah, that sucks. So you're pretty much locked into a speed run, huh? The longer the fight goes, the more at risk you are just getting bursted down. In addition to the HP cutoffs for its phase transitions, 80% and 40%, Hydra manually transitions through its phases based on turn count. This will automatically transition to weak phase after its 6th turn, and very weak after its 16th. And it to Berserk phase after its 37th. Holy shit. This is the only way it can enter Berserk phase. So what is the Hydra fight about? Hydra is arguably the simplest Magicite boss as far as fight complexity goes. He blasts you with his AoE Magical Thunder again, and again, and again, and again, with the occasional single target physical attack as a reprieve. He also has an AoE Gravity attack, but it has a very low accuracy and only uses it sparingly. Also, it's only 30% max, so it's not the end of the world. It's nothing to worry about, and in general should be turned as a turn of rest compared to his other nukes. Agreed. So lightning resist for this fight, right? Hydra is resistant to all elements except for Earth, which he carries a partial weakness to. Earth abilities. We have Gaia Cross. 2-hit damage plus draw fire effect, which ensures that Hydra's occasional physical attacks don't splatter one of your squishier characters. That's always nice. Splattering doesn't sound fun. Unless I'm the one doing it. Meteor Crush. Monk 5. 2-hit damage plus self plus 50% attack boost. This skill is extremely strong if you bring a monk along as a damage-dealing character, as it makes your buffing options more open. For all those people that pilled on the Seodor Kane banner and ended up with this crazy, weird side character, his name is Yang. This is an ability you're probably going to be using, and you're happy to have gotten that burst. Yang has an incredible burst soul break for dealing earth damage, and he's very valuable in this fight. Chain Stonga, 2-hit damage, that's it. This is an option, but probably want more if you're relying on abilities. Titan, summon 5 damage, or summon 5. 2-hit damage, deals more than Chain Stonga, but much more expensive and has less maximum use, is not really recommended. And finally, Meltdown, 3-hit damage. This is great filler for Black Mage in between casting Soul Breaks. With sufficient party buffs, Meltdown should deal at least 67,000 damage per hit, and entirely possible to max it out with enough effort. It's not going to win you the fight, but 80k or so damage really helps. And another note I want to make here is an ability that is not noted. Why did this reset? Did I get rid of the filter? Whatever. Is another monk ability. Similar to the fire one I mentioned earlier, and we have called Gaia Crush. It is a Earth version of Burning Crush, where you get 4 single attacks with plus 20% critical chance, except it is Earth instead of Wind. That is also an excellent ability. Earth Monks are probably going to be one of the easier go-tos for people to use in this fight, without strong soul breaks. Strong soul breaks being a necessity for them. as you can use Meteor Crush to buff yourself up, and then spam Gaia Crush. If you are one of the lucky ones that happens to have Yang's BSB, then you're in really good hands as far as dealing physical damage is concerned. And eventually, with the Final Fantasy IV banner that just launched in Japan, Ursula, Yang's daughter in Final Fantasy IV, is also an Earth Monk, and she is highly effective at the task as well. With a 4-hit ninja cast time command, she puts out the deeps. Next, we're going to move on to Earth Soul Breaks. We have Meteor 16, Maria's BSB. It's probably the single best soul break for dealing with Hydra in an efficient manner. You need enough party magic buffs to get Maria to 1032 magic, but that is doable even without synergy, and her 6-hit command will wreck Hydra at that point. Next, we have Kerplunk, 33. This is not a strong option as her BSB, especially if you don't own her BSB for the Unearth effect. But I can tell you from experience that you can defeat Hydra with just a plain Mage Earth damage OSB, probably by using Entrust and Chain Stonega. Next, we have Gigant Break, Guy's Burst Soul Break. I know not many people think highly of Guy, however, when he does get his BSB, which I believe debuts on the Superfest, which will be with the release of Magicite Dungeons, this is one of the best Earthen Pearls in the game. This Soul Break won't be released until after Magicite Dungeons are. It isn't, maybe not? I thought it was Superfest. Never mind. I'll listen to him. He probably knows more than me do. So if you're able to get Guy's Burst Soul Break, for whatever means, I don't know. I thought this appeared in Superfest on the first banner, but maybe I'm wrong. But it appears to be a serious contender for Hydra Slaying Dinner. Appears is not good enough. We're going to go and look at it specifically. And then I am going to go and verify which banner it shows up on. So, Guy doesn't have a whole lot going for him. He only debuted with a super and then didn't have anything for a whole long time. However, he does eventually come out with a burst, which is a area of effect Earth non-elemental entry that grants Imperil Earth to the targets and gives you hasten burst. So let's take the commands, because that's a fairly typical Imperil on the entry, and we need something to make it real good. And we get that. We get 4 single attacks. Multiplier increases with user's attack. Guy does have a quite large attack. And he gets a Dark Bargain to increase his attack. So, you know, you just Dark Bargain and then go nuts with his first. This is pretty much what you're looking for as far as an Imperil or Soul Break is concerned. So he's actually pretty competent for this fight. And will be a good part of physical teams. If they happen to have it. It may not be in the easiest places to pick up. Let's check it out. Super Festo. Banner 1. Guy, Burst Soul Break. Yeah. There you go. I wasn't crazy after all. So moving on, Guy had the good Imperil Earth, but next we have Oathsworn Espada on the long-running excellent Earth Knight Ingus. Oathsworn Espada is a great general-purpose soul break, but being limited to 2 hits makes it a bit fishy against a Magicite boss. Still, Hydra is untanky enough that you should be able to get good mileage out of this if you have it. Plus, it being a Tauntaliate burst soul break, as well as being Attach Earth, means it will do fairly respectable damage and definitely save you from some of that single target stuff. But again, not the best, but definitely very, very highly usable here. Next up, we have probably something better is Ingus's Chain Soul Break, and this is the Earth Chain. Unfortunately, Earth element attacks tend to be low on the hit count, making the chains less powerful than it could be. Worth consideration if you have it, but like all chains, requires more party support than you may have access to. Keep in mind, I don't know if this was the information was available, as it is not just the Earth Chain. The added effect is adding last party last stand. Which feels like it would be a good thing to add on into this fight. So if you have the ability to inflict high hits of Earth. Like if you have Yang or Ursula or Gladiolus, then this is actually very powerful for the fight. I just don't think a lot of that information was available at the time when the assessment of the Earth chain was made here. Next up, we have Rydia's Burst Soul Break. This is a very basic and Earth BSB, but it'll get the job done with enough magic boosts. Yeah, agreed. Next up, Rydia OSB, Magical Earth OSB, good enough if that's all you have. Well, that's not a ringing endorsement, but it's true. It's just an OSB. Her BSB is definitely better. Next up, we have the Yang's BSB that I mentioned above. Surprisingly, this is actually an extremely powerful BSB and probably the second best option for killing Hydra. As long as you keep Yang alive and buffed. And remember what I said about Meteor Crush above. Yep, well I said that too. He will deal massive amounts of damage. Yeah, Meteor Crush is going to be a pretty useful ability for just about everybody here. Next up we have Galoof BSB, which is a bit of an odd addition. While this deals earth damage on its entry and on both commands, it's not an earth-focused BSB. It imperils fire instead. Still useful for the incidental heals on its commands, but you won't want to use this as your primary earth damage source. Truth. Yeah, I can see that being a problem. See, that's what, when I was looking at the Final Fantasy IV banner, the Rydia Golbez banner, and saw Ursula on it, I was originally like, oh god, again, we get another Earth Monk, and it's on the same banner, but I warmed up to it because I feel like Ursula is actually really good, while Yang has that, that problem of reducing his defense and resistance by 40%. It's a bit of an issue. However, I do actually like Ursula a lot. But Yang, if you can keep him alive, will output a lot of damage. Next up, we have Bartz's OSB. The 200 potency penalty for the OSB pays for having 4 elements really hurts its ability to carry the load here. On the upside, it hits a weakness of 4 out of 6 Magicite bosses, meaning it has a good coverage soul break. Next up, Strago BSB. Shows up everywhere. The entry and command 1 deal earth damage, and the command 1 utility by the way of granting single target magic blink. But the real gem, of course, of the soul break is the command 2. With enough party magic boost, Strago is capable of hitting 20,000 damage to even a resistant enemy with the second command of his BSB. This is another excellent coverage soul break. I'm not sure if I would actually use it here, because I feel like I'm going to be more physically focused, and we'll find out why that is when we get to the banners, when we look at good banners to pull on, and there actually happen to be 2 really excellent banners, and both of them are physically earth focused. So next up we have Leo's BSB. While an excellent BSB in general, no pun intended, this doesn't grant an earth and is very unlikely to cap its 2-hit commands. As a bonus, it's on the same banner as Strago's BSB. Next up, Meteor Crusher, Tifa's bog standard physical earth BSB. At least Tifa can self-buff Meteor Crush. Meteor Drive, just plain old OSB for earth. Meteor Drive, Tifa's USB. This is actually a really useful soul break in general against Hydra in specific. It deals super soul break level earth damage and gives a party-wide haste, high regen, and more importantly, radiant shield. You may have trouble winning if this is your only earth soul break, but it is a great supplemental soul break. And remember what I said way back when we did the overview of the Magicite dungeons, was that I was only really thrilled with the use of this soul break inside the earth dungeon. And why that is you get the extra damage on the entry since it's earth, but the radiant shield is really awesome in this fight, because this fight, as we went over above, is really just about him pelting you over and over and over again with area effect attacks. And that's really effective when you have radiant shield up, because he takes a lot of damage in return for it. Well, Couture, that's what the maintenance going on for right now is for. And that's why I'm actually having this marathon stream through the maintenance, is because when we... the maintenance will provide us with the event schedule. So we are getting that. You don't have to wish anymore. Next up, we have Renoa's BSB-1. Ugh. While this BSB has Earth Elemental entry and Command 2 damage, it's really not ideal for our purposes here. There are better options. Yeah, it's... understating it. Any Angel Star Renoa OSB, standard Magical Earth OSB. I beat Hydra using only this. Meltdown and incidental damage from Onion BSB. So you can too. Yep. Grand Storm. Pain BSB. Without an Earth, this will probably struggle to deal enough damage to matter. That's the story of Pain's life. I'd rather bring Leo's BSB than this, frankly. Granado Shot. Sid from Final Fantasy XIV's Burst Soul Break. This BSB has a somewhat clunky mechanics. I'm glad that was brought to light earlier. I think we went over Sid 14's BSB, and I was like, I don't really like this compared to something as clean as Balthier's BSB2 as far as Imperil stacking goes. But if you master its use and have a little luck, a lot of luck actually, you can stack up Imperil Earth pretty quickly, making your job, the rest of your job, a little easier. The way Sid BSB works is so you have Shot and Reload. It's an iterative command as the first command, which is only a single attack for 2.06 multiplier. That's an issue. Next up, we have Split Shot. 4 single range attacks at 0.53 each, with a 0, 10, 30, or 100% chance to cause Imperil Earth 10%. This is minor Imperil Earth. Scaling with the Shot and Reload uses. So if you do not use Shot and Reload, you will have a 0% chance to cast Imperil Earth. If you use Shot and Reload once, and then you use this, you will have a 10% chance. If you use it twice, then you have a 30% chance, and then if you use it 3 times, you will have 100% chance. That's depressing that you need to use the single target command so many times in order to get that up. I'm gonna shrink this for a second and see if I can get... It resets too, so you're only looking at a good chance of 1 Imperil Earth minor per burst cast. Ugh. And that is with using at least 2 of this weak first command. So I don't really care for this Burst Soul Break, honestly. Next up, we have the Gladiolus BSB. This is basically an improved version of Ingus BSB, at least from a damage standpoint. Gladio can't tauntaliate. Yeah, however, he is a 5-star samurai, so he can also always tauntaliate if you wish for him to. This will, at the very least, carry a fair share of its damage load. One of the things that I wanted to make note about the chain soul break here is that Gladiolus's BSB is one of the few bursts, I think it's the only burst here, that can hit for 5 attacks with its first command, which is the best burst for chaining. Other than Yang's, which has the Unbound Fury, which gives him a lot of attacks as well as quick cast. So I'd place Yang's over the Gladiolus BSB. However, this one is very good for this fight. And next up, we have the Gladiolus OSB. Physical Earth OSB. Damage taken increases with number of his tanks, so it'll go over the standard 1200 power by the end of the fight. Worth definite consideration. Very worthwhile in conjunction with his BSB. Agreed. As has been noted by GM Custom in chat, this fight loves to just output a lot of damage and its area of effect. So whether you're sentineling with his Burst Soul Break or not, you're going to be taking enough hits to pump this up to its maximum potential. I can go take a look at that for right now. So I think Gladiolus is actually one of our best options in the fight. Oh, why did you reload? Never goes higher than 12.93. Okay, that's not that much of a boost, so let's not get too excited. But at least it's probably the best OSB for the fight, right? Yeah. So now we got the banners. And Gladio does come on a great banner as it's advancing toward Magicite Festival, sure. Oh, okay, I get why now. He did the last one, Wind, at a later time. So this wasn't in chronological. And that's why right. It must have the way he wrote it was over the span of days, and when once he found out that Guy's Burst Soul Break appeared on the Magicite Festival, he didn't update what it said above. So there you go. So we stopped at the Final Fantasy 15 event, and I'm gonna go take a look at my banner list. The event after it would be the Final Fantasy 11 event. No significant Earth there. Final Fantasy 5 event. Again, we keep on going to Final Fantasy 5, and we mentioned it on the Win Magicite page that the Final Fantasy 5 banner is not only pretty decent for Wind, but it's really actually just excellent for Earth. And since that is actually not mentioned here, I'm going to go and take a look at it. And this will be the first time on the stream today that I've done this. So, because I don't want to go into it too heavily. Well, we got 4 hearts. JP Mega Thread, give me the... Oh, come on. You get 4 hearts JP right draw. This is what we're looking for. So, this is the Earth banner that wasn't covered by that list. We have Bartz's Chicken Knife. Obviously, I keep on going into this, but, I mean, when you're effectively annihilating 4 different elements, you're going to get mentioned often. So, Bartz's USB is awesome. Ferris's USB is not Earth, however, still good. Bartz's BSB 3 is very good. What we get here is self-spellblade damage plus 15%. 2. This is the exact same status that we see on Celeste BSB2, while instead of dealing the Holy Ice that hers does, his does 4 times Earth and Wind. Second command is 3 times single target Earth and Wind, with a self-attack and resistance plus 30%. So that's Meikyo Shisui. Instead of the Hailstorm or Dark Bargain, where you trade off defense for increased attack, he just gets both best of both worlds. And that resistance is definitely very valuable in a fight against Hydra, where he just spams magic over and over again at you. So this is excellent. And remember, both of these commands are spell blades, so that works together very well with Bartz and his ability to dual cast, and tri-cast. Whew, okay. Next we have Dorgon and his Imperil Earth. Again, more Earth. So, Earth, Earth, Earth. Bart's Water. So, if you need water, there's some water. They're not really that great by itself, but with the USB, he becomes a very high damage water character. Bart's LMR. Extra low chance to triple cast Spellblade abilities. Yeah, that's pretty good LMR. It's 10%, by the way. LMR for Ferris, medium physical damage up, depending on status debuffs on target. Not good for Magicite, but still a very good Legend Materia. Dorgon's Sword, for the Cloud USB goers out there. This is actually just Cloud's Sword, just like Fusion's Dagger is Alphino's Dagger. This is the only plus wind damage sword in the entire game. So ideally you'd like to pick this up, fully augment it, throw it in Cloud's hands, and let him go nuts with it. Next up, Ferris's Bracers. First real hit we've seen on the banner. Or miss, because the Imperil Wind AoE is just a flat downgrade from her USB, which is Imperil Wind random target. Galoof. High regen and fire, party critical 50%. I guess so. I'd like this as a complimentary piece if I had other Galoof things, and that doesn't include this. So it's weird that these are on the banner. I'd prefer to see other stuff, but That's fine. If you've got... That's your low end, I'll take it. So all of this is stuff I want. So, moving on. It is party crit, yeah. It is rare. And remember, actually, that's not so bad, now that I think about it. Because remember what I said, you could bring in just a monk and use Meteor Crush and then spam that 4-hit monk ability that does the increased crit chance. If you could bring in a support like Lufir and give party critical 50%, high regen and fire is unfortunate, but even the party critical and high regen, and then just have Galoof use those 2 5-star abilities, he could actually put out a fair amount of damage as well as being a pretty highly valuable support with party critical 50% for this fight. So there's that. And this could actually also work just as well for the fire Magicite. Especially so because you have Endfire. You would lose damage because you'd still be Meteor Crushing for Earth damage to buff himself up, but you'd be adding damage on top for the 5-star Monk ability that does 4 hits and increased crit chance. And that's plus crit chance, so it would add on to this. So you'd have 70%, not including the hidden percentage that you get on fist weapons. So this, I'm actually a little higher on this than I thought I was going to be. Because I think monks get a nice skill set for two of the Magicite dungeons. Okay, so that is the Final Fantasy V one. What do we have next? Final Fantasy VI. I don't think though either of those are Earth. Final Fantasy II, no. Final Fantasy Tactics, I guess. Millie Duel does do Earth damage, but she's a support, and everything she does is stat breaking. She's like the ultimate attack stat breaker. But I mean, it's not really relevant for Magicite, so I'm not going to include it. Final Fantasy III does have the Ingus CSB on one banner. Unfortunately, Ingus BSB is on the second banner. That is really unfortunate. I don't like how they did that. Final Fantasy 15 also has Gladiolus things on it, but it's not that hot of a banner as far as I'm concerned. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 8. No Earth going on there. Final Fantasy 7, also not really. Final Fantasy 4, also not really. They swapped Rydia into a water summoner role instead of Earth summoner, so there's that. So okay, so now we can get to the banners that they display here. We have Scheming Tyrant 2, we've done that. Second Annie, oh god, this is so old. Fleeting Dream, Last of the Red Wings, Charge of Fate, Extreme Fest. Okay, this is our cutoff. Tifa's excellent utility USB is here, as well as Noctis's knockoff Thunder God Sid OSB. In Japan, Maria's OSB and BSB were also on this banner, as well as Refia and Tifa's BSBs, but there's no guarantee that it will be in global. So I'll just I'll gloss over that for now, because all we're really looking at here is those, and you can't suggest a banner based on those alone, especially because this actually isn't all that hot. Next, we have the umpteenth appearance of Iron-Willed Fist 2. We have Leo's BSB and Strago's BSB. Strago's BSB is worth pulling for on its own. Command 2 is awesome, and he can pull its weight even against resistant enemies with Noof buffs. Leo's is Earth damage, a nice consolation prize, but not really that good. Also appearing here are Sabin's and Friar stuff, and Leo's in Peril for Holy. Yep. So Strago banner, Strago and Terra banner as usual. Next up, we have the Final Fantasy XIV event. 1. Sid Garland's BSB is the best source in the game from Pearl Earth. Whoa! You can tell this was written before Guy's BSB came out. Oof, that is a hot take. But it probably won't win you the fight on its own. Minfilia's USB is a good party buff, but it gets upstaged almost immediately by Rico's USB in the next event. This is also a chance for Wall, for those who still lack a native source. True enough. This is a regrettably pullable banner for a lot of people, and most of the people going into it understand that. Oh shit, you're right. God, why did I forget Ursula and Yang? I even talked about them earlier. I'll cover the banner after I get down to the end. Sorry, you're right, Will. You got me. We are Albed 1. Pain BSB. Pain's Tri-Element BSB occurs here, along with Riku's excellent USB, blah blah blah. Not a strong choice for Earth specifically, but at least has wide elemental coverage in general. Dirge of Cerberus 2. Tifa's BSB reoccurs here. But this banner is much stronger, if not the strongest, as a wind elemental banner. Remember what I said about this banner? It is the backup plan. that doesn't work. It's the I don't know. It's the next stop after getting Cloud's USB. Both Cloud BSB2 and Zac BSB are excellent, even if physical attacks are less than ideal against Golem. Rufus Super Soul Break is barely worth consideration. I think that's being generous, as a Dark Imperil for the eventual Holy and Dark Magicite dungeons. Crown's Guard. Okay, this is one of the better banners. This is either the first or second best non-festival banner for Earth Elemental Soul Breaks, with both of Gladio's high-end Soul Breaks being strong Earth options, with Gladio BSB, Gladio OSB. It also has Noctis's non-elemental BSB and OSB, Iris's amazing all-in-one healing BSB, and a special mention of Noctis's Instant Cast plus Party Instant Cast Super Soul Break, which is great for speed running and time attack mode. Yep. The only problem with the banner is so far into the future, not anymore. Making budgeting for this stuff is difficult unless Earth is all you're missing. Excellent banner. And what's funny is all it has going for it is Gladio, BSB, and OSB, and that's really crazy that this would be one of the first or second best non-festival banner for Earth. However, when you consider how good the rest of the banner is along with it, it makes it very strong in its own right. And it doesn't even have to be elemental to be that, because Iris is a great healer, and Noctis is great in almost any Magicite dungeon, just because of what he provides to the party, non-elemental wise, and party buff wise. So great banner here, great banner. And wow, we're done here. Yeah, two dual cast LMRs, one for Iris and the other for Noctis. And Noctis is notable because it's one of the combat ones. Magicite Festival 1, we have Ingus CSB, Galoof USB, and Guy BSB. This banner is by design sort of a one-stop shop. It's meant to be for Earth and Fire element. Only the listed soul breaks are more or less guaranteed to be there, but notably the Japan version of this banner also contains Ingus and Tifa's and Earth BSBs. Ida's Endfire USB, which is actually fairly decent with the introduction of the new monk abilities, and Sabin's Endfire BSB, and Locke's Imperial Fire BSB. Worth consideration even if the non-new relics may be replaced. As with the Crown's Guard banner, the only problem here that's far enough away that make budgeting difficult. Again, not as much of a concern anymore. So before we read the conclusion, I'm going to just say right off the bat, I believe this is the best banner we can pull on for strengthening us in Earth and basically everywhere as far as Magicite's concerned, and elsewhere. Since Iris is actually a specialist in Status Blink and Stone Skin on her BSB, which is super helpful outside of Magicite. So there's that. Next up, let's see. I mean, I guess I could cheat and say the Earth Magicite Festival banner, but I won't. I can't say Extreme Fest 1. Tifa's USB plus Maria's OSB and BSB would kind of make it a lock. However, it's an Extreme Fest banner, and we're not guaranteed to get this stuff on this banner. Well, I'm going to say the Final Fantasy 15 banner and the Final Fantasy 5 banner that has Bart's BSB 3, Dorgon's BSB, and Bart's USB are the two best Earth banners. And let's advance to the conclusion, see what's going on. Earth is sort of the bastard stepchild of the main elemental wheel, though the true runt of the litter is Bio. So the pickings are kind of slim all around. The best single relic options are Maria's, Yang's, and Gladio's BSBs, plus the assorted Earth OSBs. It's worth considering that Maria has a Legend dive with plus Earth damage, while Gladio unfortunately only has plus Night damage, which does help his BSB, but unfortunately not his OSB. And Yang is unfortunately not yet a Legend. He does become a Legend in the Final Fantasy IV event, which I will go into after I read this. If you can handle the long wait, Crown's Guard and the Earth and Fire Magicite Festival banners are the best options for Earth specifically. Agreed. Not including, of course, the excellent Final Fantasy V banner. While for those with a harder time for budgeting or more need for immediate gratification security, the current Scheming Tyrant 2 banner, yeah, it's not a thing in Global anymore. If you already have one passable Earth Soul Break, you can... You can broaden your horizons a little and try your luck on banners, which will help your other parties more, such as Last of the Red Wings 2. Doesn't exist anymore. One final note. Every single account has access to at least one piece of small Earth damage up armor. The 4-star Gaia gear you got from the very early Elite Story dungeon clear. If you haven't sold it yet, unfortunately I have, keep it in mind when it's time to face down Hydra. It's not much defensively, but the plus 20% damage is more than you can usually count on from armor. True. Though Dorgon and his Burst Soul Break is plus Earth Armor. So another benefit to pulling on the Final Fantasy V banner. For now, I will go take a look at the Final Fantasy IV banner that just dropped in Japan. So Magicite will have been out for a while by the time it comes around. However, I mean, Magicite's going to be a thing, a persistent thing, and I believe they're attempting to grow it, so we may get more than one boss for each element. I hope so, because I hope they continue on with it. So looking at this Final Fantasy IV banner is relevant. I wonder if they have the Final Fantasy IV banner up yet. They don't. So we're going to have to go look at this. A little less, I don't know, informative as the threads I'm used to looking at. However, it should be enough. What we're going to look at here is the second banner of this event, which is actually very heavily in Water Dark, because Golbez's USB and Rydia's BSB2 are the chases here. However, it also has Ursula's BSB and Yang's BSB, which I already went over. Ursula's BSB is new and quite interesting. The 8 single target Earth Fire physical, that is actually relevant because all of the commands are fire as well, and remember, we have some very powerful fire monk abilities. So she could effectively be a fire monk if you want her to. Obviously, because of the Unearth, it's not ideal, but, you know, if you need it, you got it. So, Unearth Burst mode, and the command 1 is 4 times single target Earth Fire, physical damage, with a short cast time. That means in ninja cast time. Very, very nice. So she does attack quickly like Yang does, but doesn't sacrifice all the defenses in the world to get there. And her command 2 is 2 times single target and gives herself critical 50%. So she doesn't even need to use those 5-star abilities. Oh, never mind. 5-star abilities are plus 50% attack. So she could use those plus 50% attack in conjunction with the self-critical 50%, and then short cast times out some commands. And she also has an LMR on the banner that allows her to double cast monk abilities. She is actually a competent monk, and probably, in my eyes at least, exceeds the usefulness of her father Yang. And Ursula's Super Soul Break is actually good too. Party 40% max HP, great Medica, Last Stand, and Resistance plus 100%. This Super Soul Break is actually just awesome. Yeah, I agree. And hi, Ishi, what's going on? So when I originally evaluated this banner, if anyone was here for that, I kind of was down on Ursula, but as time has gone on and as I have looked into Magicite dungeons more and how the different elements play out and how Earth plays out, I gained a lot of respect for what Ursula brings to the table, and I actually like it. And this banner has grown on me a lot. I love Golbez's USB, and I really like Rydia's Burst Soul Break too as well. So, any questions about the Earth Magicite discussion? Does anyone need any elaboration on this banner? Because I know I haven't gone into it as part of the discussion I've had today, but I have done a few times in the past. We've sung Noctis's praises, we've sung Iris's praises, both as non-elemental, and the party buff Instacast is just awesome, and Iris is just a really effective healer with her BSB. And the fact that Gladio is such a strong Earth character makes this a very good banner. Are they half price? What do you mean? Is this banner half price? No. This is a normal realm banner. Well, normal, sort of, because it doesn't have a second banner since it's the first release of the Final Fantasy 15 realm. So there's not enough relics to go around to assemble 2 banners, but other than that, it's pretty normal. And nor is the Final Fantasy V Bart's banner half price. Yay, Rydia. Yay, Golbez. Oh, I can't wait to use Golbez. Oh, please give me his USB. Rydia could be pretty damn competent in the Water Magicite with Entrust. USB and BSB2. By itself, I'd just use the BSB, but someone wants to entrust me a Rydia USB to add on to it, I will absolutely take that. You think so? I think as far as like dealing damage against a neutral target, Rydia wins, or Alphinaud wins. Because of the Instacast. All she has available to her is the Quick Cast Magic 2, which allows you to alternate between this and Ogopogo. But the Ogopogo and this, I don't feel like that's going to outdamage Alphinaud in his first command. Yeah, you know what? The Stormblood event is probably going to be Alphinaud-centered, and I'm kind of scared. They could make him awesome. I do like his USBs. I still don't understand like the potential of his USB because it's a little weird. I'd have to see it in action a few times. She can quickly stack Imperil. Just because of the quick cast? Yeah, that's true. So Alphinaud does need the help. So well, I guess that means it's kind of weird to compare them because they do fulfill different roles within their elements. Well, I guess, I mean, if If she's able to stack fast enough, then she can start doing some pretty crazy damage. I just don't, even if you're exploiting vulnerability with the Imperil, I don't know if you'd be able to stack the Imperil fast enough to get up to that level. The Auto Ether is nice, the Smart Ether. I think if I got Rydia's BSB2, I'd probably R5 Ogopogo. Yeah, I agree. And that's why, I mean, I value Alphino so highly, as well as I would value this. Summon is just pretty important. It's definitely a nice bonus that, I don't know, gets overlooked often, I guess. Well, that was Earth, so I'll take a small break and before we're about to dive into Thunder Power. Ugh, that's gonna be a long one.